Looks like we've won the race, Nami. I didn't think it would be that easy. Anything to say before I unleash this?
Here's to the future we create.
Yes, to the future we create. He pushes the blade deeper, and the gear spins faster. What the fuck? This is like the edgiest fucking weapon. I feel like it's draining me of my very essence. They give me such terrifying grins, I have to look away. A moment later, my vision fades into nothingness. The last thing I hear is Player and Conrad's cries. They weep over the family they'll never see again. For on that day, they became only memories. What the fuck was that? Fucking garbage, like... Oh no. Several months prior. Oh, joy. I smile as I run down the halls of the local mall. Every day that passed, my odds got even better. The pop star contest had become a worldwide phenomenon. The stocks rose and stores sold out. Everyone wanted to win. I tried not to drink too much, but it was addicting. Not only the caffeine, but the prize that awaited. Everyone wanted to live a life of luxury like that. We all had worries we just wanted to melt away. There were so many stories I could choose from. But I had a local joint that I like to stick to. It didn't get much business and I thought that helped. I suppose it's something like a gambler's hope. The less used machines will pay out more, right? At least that's what I told myself every single day. Nobody had won yet. Both cans are still in the wild. I turn a few corners and end up at my favorite store. The clerk greets me as usual, and I walk inside. I notice a new addition. They have TVs on the walls. Some sort of news report about the contest was airing. You really couldn't go a minute without hearing of it. It's not often the whole world unites like this. Oh god, what the fuck? Thank you, Rayo. I walked a little deeper into the store. For some reason, they keep the cooler in the back. Maybe it was to tempt me with other choices first. That was fucking disgusting. Why would you have Killa pop up like that? Get away. I wonder who I'd meet if I won. I'm sure the people running the tour would be awesome. At least I hope that was the case. Some people can be all business, no pleasure. Ugh, disgusting. I like how he's like getting like Vietnam flash forwards, but I'm sure Clace would be great at least. You hear all kinds of things on the news. He was young and had a long career ahead of himself. But let's not forget about the people behind the scenes. There were those involved that no one even knew about. Not everyone liked the limelight after all. A slight pain starts radiating in my head. I hate headaches. I've been getting them a lot lately. I do my best to push it aside as I arrive at the cooler. But when I get there, I notice that they're sold out. Did somebody come and buy out their supply? I quickly turn around and walk back to the clerk. It's extremely unusual that this place would sell out. I decide to talk to them and ask what's going on. The clerk shrugs and says that they have lots. He tells me I must have overlooked them. That's weird. I'm not the type to do that. The headache gets more intense and I stumble. I press myself against a counter for support. The clerk asks if I'm okay and I'm sick while I'm fine. I look at the TV once again. The report has changed. Now they're talking about murders or something. It's a shame, but that's the kind of world we live in. Maybe we're using this contest to mask our flaws. I decide to give it a shot and I check the cooler again. I'm not expecting anything, so I have nothing to lose. But before I can get there, the pain returns. I take a moment to brace myself holding onto a shelf. It gets worse, despite all my coping techniques. I try to call out for help, but no one comes to my aid. And just like that, my body gives up. My hand slips from the shelf and I fall to the ground. My head crashes harshly against the linoleum floor. I expected to be knocked out, but that's not what happens. It's like the fall flipped a switch in my mind. It's at this moment that I remember everything. Why are you flashing terrible character designs in my fucking face? Shut up. I immediately rise to my feet and clutch my chest. I fully expect a blade to be stabbed through my body. I pant heavily before realizing I'm fine, but I still rest against the shelf utterly confused. Why was I here before I won the contest? Who were those people that attacked us? What happened to everybody in the ballroom? How could I get back to help them? I have to win the contest, wouldn't I? But this store's all sold out. I could have sworn that this is where I won. After that, though, one last memory returns to me. I check my pocket, and sure enough, There it is. The replica can that Singe gave to me in our meeting. I gulp audibly and look back in the clerk's direction. For all intents and purposes, this was a winning can. I don't really have a choice. I'd have to use this. It's the only way I could get back and try again. Perhaps this time, things would be different. I walk back and laugh, telling the clerk he was right. He rings through the purchase and I pay him promptly. I leave the store, certain of one single fact. This was how I got my Place in Claces World Tour. What the fuck? Okay. So what is this, fucking Higurashi when they cry? What the fuck? It's just like a time loop. Are you shitting me here? Fuck you. I'm jolted awake and I cry out for help. Oh my god. But I quickly realize this is an overreaction. I pant heavily and my body uncontrollably shivers. I'm covered in a layer of sweat that feels like ice. Hey, it's okay. You're safe now. Take this, it should help you out. He must have noticed my shivering. He places a blanket on my shoulders. I wrap it around my body tightly and look up at him. I ask him what just happened and where we were. You were thrashing about in your sleep. You passed out after the bombing incident. I wasn't sure how long you'd be out. As you can see, we left the building. We're in an underground bunker now. You can rest easy, we're safe. He takes a deep breath as if it's finally all over. He leans back in his chair, giving me a slight smile. So I was thrashing about in my sleep? Was that whole thing just a dream then? We have lots to talk about, you know. So much has happened and all so fast. I shift my body around and rest my feet on the floor. This whole place smells stiff and uncared for, almost like the prison back at Plair's house. The events of the ballroom play back in my mind. Colgate lost Emo, Plair lost Kabu. I wish there was something I could have done. Archer must have sensed sorrow on my face. He places a paw on my shoulder and comforts me. It's okay, I know what you're feeling. We're more alike than you think. I laugh softly, instantly doubting him. I don't think he has the same weight on his shoulders. Life is full of hardships like this, but one thing is the same no matter what. We all have regrets when we overcome them. Mine would be my lack of honesty towards you and everyone here, but at the same time it was necessary. Lack of honesty? What does he mean by that? I don't even know where to start, but please let me finish my story. It's important that you know everything. I believe that you've met Rayo before, and I believe you've been to the Ark. These are a couple things we have in common. These are the last things I expected him to say. I stare at him in sheer confusion, speechless. Perhaps the story goes deeper than I thought. He granted me a portion of his power, the ability to slow or stop time's flow, and with that he gave me an objective. I was supposed to protect all of you, everyone inside the convention center. It seemed like an easy enough task, right? But he gave me some opposition, someone bent on killing all of you. Maxine Armstrong. Yeah, I'm sure that you figured that out. It was the Arms heiress visiting Japan, or should I say, my sister. My true name is Archeron Armstrong, youngest in the Armstrong family line, but I've long since abandoned that name. He continues unleashing revelations. More of the puzzle pieces fall into place. Fucking, not even revelations, more like exposition, because fuck you. Things are more connected than I ever could have guessed. Rayo pitted sibling against sibling, one to protect and one to kill. The forces of life and death in our hands. He turned it into some sort of contest. If any were left standing, I would win. But if everyone died, Max was the victor. The prize was the Ark itself. We would get to rule it as an immortal being. Life and death would cater to our whims. So this was a game to Max. If she won, she could just undo the deaths. That, and bring back our sister. I remember Rayo telling me about this. He said that he wanted a worthy successor, but he never mentioned Archeron to me at all. I was under the assumption that it was only Max. I hope that things are making more sense. That was the true nature of what happened. The truth behind the convention center. This is so, like, fucking exposition-y bullshit, like, that just came out of, like, literally nowhere. It makes me so tired, like... So this was all just a battle to rule over the Ark? and we all got caught up in it because of my role. Rayo said he had to watch me as well as the contest, but why would Rayo want to leave the Ark? He said he was bored and lonely, but that can't be it. Well, I mean, I'm sure that isn't enough of a reason for you. Like, if I was bored and lonely from somewhere, I'd probably want to leave. Like, fuck you, MC, who are you? There had to be more to the story than we know. Either way, the battle is over. Max can't get to any of you down here. In a few hours, I will rule the Ark. He lets out a soft grin. Max relied far too much on her power, but I only ever used it twice myself. Once to plant my resume in Jade's office, and the second time for the evacuation. Max is extremely eager to compete with me. She took care of the previous guard. I needed to enter the tour naturally. Yeah, no, Clace is like so passive aggressive with like the other guard, because like they mentioned him in like chapter 3, I believe, and I think the original guard guy was like really pissed off at Clace. He's like, fuck you, remove me from the game. And instead of just making that guard Archeron all along, they were like, oh yeah, they were going to hire this guard, and then he got fucking killed off by like our Mary Sue villainous or whatever the fuck. Like, really? I swear. But after that, it was child's play. I know how she works better than anyone. Pushing her buttons was incredibly easy. I asked him why he's so sure of his victory. If Max had the power, there was still a chance. No, there's no chance. We were playing her right from the start. She fell into our trap far too easily. Our trap? What did he mean by that? I was only open with one other person. It was Singe. He knows everything. I even told him of the Ark and our powers. We formulated a plan together. He's a genius, to say the least. That, and a very talented actor. What the fuck? Singe is now involved too. I feel like after this, I won't have any questions. I'll have more questions than ever, really. Max planned all along to involve weapons. It was very easy for us to exploit this. Initially, Singe fought back against her. We needed Max to feel like she had power. It made it more believable when he caved. At that point, she was getting cocky. Her staff loaded the building with weapons. Everything was going her way. She went on to kill Clace. Then she took care of the previous guard. That's when I entered the scene. The contest would last for one whole day. Midnight tonight will be the battle's end. It was important that we remain passive. Singe started to play a frightened role. No sudden movements, he'd say. We needed Max to believe she was winning. That's why. He looks away from me before continuing. That's why we let Rocker and Keela die. It needed to look like I was failing. This made Max even more confident. I like how he like killed these two fuckwads. Not just because they were terrible, but no, just because he's like, yeah, no, I needed a gambit to make it look like I was losing. That's just great. Tensions rose in the convention center. Tensions that made me seem inadequate. People were fighting amongst themselves. They wanted to leave, but they couldn't. Singe was still playing his part. Max was very clearly winning, it was obvious. So it was my turn to act. I pretended that my resolve was wavering. These people were dying on my watch. How could I ever guard anyone again? I put on quite the show for all of you. How fucking manipulative, fuck you! I even acted at the Prince conference too. I still feel bad about the outburst, but it was important to showcase Stout. Yeah, no, you didn't plan any of this out, Clace, fuck you. You're just literally like riding on the seat of your fucking pants, dude. Holy shit. Max had what she wanted. Singe was completely in her pockets. Her brother wasn't able to outsmart her. And everyone was still in one place. It would be so easy for her to win. That's when I decided to meet up with her. It was all going according to plan. She actually suggested we team up. She said we could kill the rest together. But she didn't know I was recording. I got her to admit that she was the killer. But she thought if she was just converting me. That is extremely smart. Actually, it's almost unbelievable. But one part irks me about all of this. It implies they willingly sacrificed lives. Maybe that's why they kept saying sacrifice, because Now I guess it makes sense why they kept saying sacrifice, I guess. It's so fucked up because they didn't have any choice in the matter, but like, whatever, I guess. I'm not proud of what we did either, but it was either them or all of us. I'm sure you know that feeling as well. Either way, we worked with the police. The bomb going off was their signal. Instead of coming in, they set with the perimeter. I did agree to work with Max. She believed she had my allegiance, but I made use of that recording immediately. I gave it to both the media and the police. Maxine Armstrong is completely ruined. She's fucking cancelled. Receiving the recording was their signal. After that, they'd attack the building, but everyone except for her would be gone. This whole plan assumed a lot, of course. First, that she would use her weapons. Then second, that she would confess to me. But I know how she works after all. I was certain it would unfold this way. That's why I made them tactical signals. Trust me, she's not winning. If they didn't catch her, she's on the run. She'll lose control of the company as well. I picked the exact time to evacuate. She'd be caught up in saving her own life. There's no way she knows where we are. I believe it's what you call checkmate. This was crazy, to say the least. But if anyone could do it, it was them. And the fact that we're here confirms it. The strategy involved was unfathomable to me. I was just an unlucky soul caught in the middle. I didn't know what your role really is. In fact, I don't even know if Rayo does. But he'll be coming here shortly anyway. He has to take me to the Ark. Or should I say, my new home. Perhaps he'll have some answers then. I suggest taking a walk around. Everyone is here except for Daz and Shinj. They're resting in a separate bunker. I still thought it would be wise to do this. If Max found one of the bunkers, she still wouldn't be able to win. But for the first time, you're safe. I'd enjoy this evening with everybody. Your duty as savior may come soon as well. I nod and I return to my feet. He was right, things were coming too close. I slowly walk towards the exit of the room. But before I can leave, Archeron calls out to me. I quickly turn back around and look at him. Wait, can I keep you for one more minute? There's something that's been on my mind. Your bond with Archeron was strong enough. Okay, fine. I take a few steps back toward him. I'm all ears and I ask him what he wants to say. Well, it's about the Armstrong name. Why I ran away, why I left it behind. It's more related than you may think. I press my back against the wall and listen. I guess he assumes that there's no holding back. If he's about to leave for the Ark, he should talk. Let's see, where do I start? Armstrong was run by my parents. That is, until about 5 years ago. They were working on a new chemical weapon. But it was too much to do on their own. They had to acquire investors and fast. The company pockets only went so deep. So they secured the Globe for partners. It didn't take long to get what they needed. They held a meeting for the investors. A chance to show off what they made. Potentially to get more money too. But it wasn't so simple. Chemicals can be very volatile. I'm sure you can guess what happened. The weapons went off by accident. Luckily, I was watching from outside. Well, I guess lucky is a relative term. Good lord. I would watch my parents die in agonizing death. Sorry, sounds like you're fucking coping. Deal with it, cunt. Like, shit, dude, why did you tell me this? Like, I talked to you not even 5 times, like 2 times. Like, why do you trust me now all of a sudden? They clawed at the glass, begging for help, but there was nothing I could do. Max was beside me as well, shocked. Our older sister had her eyes covered. After this, the family was in disarray. Our older sister was thrust in the leadership. But she wasn't trained, none of us were. The whole world had its eyes on us. Some important people died that day. We tried our best to cover it up, but you can't cover up memories. Those events affected families everywhere. We weren't the only ones who lost people. It took a while, but we recovered. Business was good and we traveled lots. Eventually we ended up in Africa. Oh joy, a dignitary wanted our services. Some local warlords had threatened him. So the Armstrong siblings went for a visit. He requested our latest weaponry. The chemical weapons were put on hold, so we had to bring some explosives. He was very nice to all of us. He gave us a tour of his massive estate. Then he wanted us to meet his son. I was more than ecstatic to meet him. It's always nice to make strong connections, but the room he took us to was empty. He started crying as he told us the truth. His son had moved to America a while back. He made a fortune investing in companies. One of those companies was Armstrong. He broke down and kept asking us why. Why did we take his son away from him? But none of us knew what to say. The next thing I knew, we were passing out. He must have drugged the meal that he gave us. I would have never guessed he had a past like this. He always seemed so calm and collected. I asked him what happened next, and especially how it relates to current events. Well, we were separated when we woke up. I was tied to a chair and he was there. My older sister was tied to a chair too, but she was in a room farther away. This is where it gets familiar. We both had bombs strapped to us. He left the room and told Max to choose. Would she save her brother or her sister? I begged her to let her sister live. She was the head of the company after all. I was nothing and I didn't matter. The man wanted us to experience his pain, but Max told him we already did. We lost our whole family in that incident. Unfortunately, he was too far gone. What he wanted was revenge, and we were the only remaining Armstrongs. It's like kind of ironic, isn't it? He used the same weapons we bought. We provided him with the means to do this. I begged and I pleaded for my death. It seemed like Max's choice was obvious, but for some reason she wouldn't do it. She let her older sister die. I still remember hearing the bomb. I heard the moment her life was ended. The man came in to free me. And as soon as he did, I attacked him. I wanted to kill him, I really did. But he was armed and he was stronger. That's how I got this scar on my face. That's a scar? Huh. I wouldn't have guessed. I thought that was like face paint. But whatever. He marked me with a knife, so I'd remember. He was never heard from again after that. Max and I ran back to America. She promptly inherited the entire company. A little convenient, wouldn't you say? I think that's what she wanted all along. She took the opportunity to off her sister. That way she'd get to run the company. But then, did she kill our parents too? Was she responsible for the accident? If she was, she'd finally got what she wanted. At that point, I decided to run away, but she told me one final thing.
One day, you'll know what it felt like.
She swore that she caved under pressure. It had nothing to do with inheritance. Her body just went on autopilot, but I would never know for sure. At least that's what I thought. I didn't see her again until this ordeal. And of course, what does she do? Sets up those bombs and makes me watch. I saw the look on your face, the look of fear and indecision. How could you choose between Killa and Rook? I mean, it was kind of easy, not gonna lie. Like, they're both fucking terrible, but Killa is worse, and he's also, like, a liar. Worst thing I could say about Rook, he's a fucking, like, weeb. So, it was easy to choose. It would be even harder if it were family. I think she wanted to send that message. She wanted me to see what it looked like. And it's not a pretty sight at all, but it did nothing to prove her innocence. She's not above in killing to inherit. It's what she's doing now for the Ark. To that end, that message loses validity. I'm still left with this scar. I remember it every time I look at myself. My sister's death and Max's betrayal. I thought you deserved to know. There was a reason you had to choose, and it was only to prove a point to me. I'm sorry you had to experience that, but Maxine Armstrong is insane. She killed to take over the company. She killed at a chance for the Ark. There's nothing she won't do. Now, I don't know why Singe agreed to help, but Armstrong is a heartless company. I wouldn't be surprised if he was a victim. But I'll give you one piece of advice. If you ever see her again, run away. Doing that made my life all the better. He crosses his arms as if he's done talking. I notice a slight glisten in his eyes. You don't need to give me a reaction. It's just something I wanted you to know. You can leave the room as you see fit. I nod at him, unsure of what to say. I'm satisfied that I'm learning so many things, even if it's completely fucking irrelevant. Like Max just turned into fucking Jigsaw, I guess. But I'm crushed with the sorrow he must have felt. One of the first things I'm going to do, I'm going to bring back my sister. She'll make this world a better place. And I'm very sorry for lying to you. I hope that you can learn to forgive me. As I've said, lack of honesty is my regret. But this whole thing was a setup. I couldn't risk the operation. This time I was forced to lie. I never would have done it otherwise. He smiles at me with nothing left to hide. Then he returns to his chair, ending the conversation. It's true, he could bring her back if he wanted. I assume that he would do the same for all the others. It would take a while to process all this information. I'm probably going to forget all about it by the time I post the next episode, but at least some of my biggest questions were answered. No, they weren't. I leave the room with a sense of satisfaction. Would you like to save your game? Yes. So, yeah, no, I think that's that for today. See you later, kings and queens. Bye-bye.